show. Bass and Bonsai back in the house. I know you guys are getting tired of being back in the house, but I went ahead and I had been casting the new lose reel. And first, let me start by I was just kind of seeing what this new reel felt like on different rods because I had it on the lose rod and it's like a little tight, and I'll talk about that more. But in the process of doing that, if you guys remember right, when I got the new spool from AliExpress, we put it up against the Steez shallow spool and the Zillion spool, and I really couldn't come up with the winner. So I think the boost part is working, and it seems to cast just as well. We were throwing that little jig on the Super Destroyer, and then I also had done a little shootout putting this reel up against I don't know, a few other rods just to kind of get a rough comparison. But this time I went ahead and put so all of these, the regular Zillion, the new AliExpress one, and the shallow spool in the new Steez Limited. I don't think I threw the regular spool in the Steez. That's not the shallow one. And then I put this lose all on the same rod, this Super Destroyer, and cast this bait. And just to see, and which I think is true, that they're all so close. Like I've got them set to where it's really, I've talked about this in several videos. Like once you get a reel set, I think you can get, the reels are all so even now that the max distance you're going to get out of a bait is achievable by all these reels, as long as you know how to set them and how to cast, right? So with this one, I'd make a quick note on the lose rod. I had to go higher on the brakes. I think just it has more, I think it loads up better, so it shoots out initially a touch faster. So I had to run at 3 without backlashing. Today when I got out there, I actually, on the Super Destroyer, a little stiffer rod, I had to go down 1. So on this reel, and I don't remember which spool I had that one in. I think it was this one, so I don't think where's the side plate? I don't think anything's changed, but if you remember right, when we were doing that, with this one, you had to run the brakes higher is the difference, but then the results were the same. So I'm guessing this either, it looks like it's the same overall dimensions as what comes on the Steez, but it must be slightly different. The spring's a little stiffer on one or the other of the springs. So it just needs slightly more of a brake, but a little higher. I think it was this one. Dude, that ain't it. Somebody's been messing with it. I got this sucker cranked way up to like 13. Did I mess with this reel? This came off the, I don't know what's going on with that one. That is, I don't think I've ever been out casting at that. Maybe it was the regular spool. Well, I can't remember now. But anyway, against the regular Zillion, if you remember right, and I was kind of going back and looking at old videos. I watched an old video when I first got this reel. And you see that setting? It's number 3. There's not a 3 there, but in between 2 and 4, there's a dot. And this reel is the most consistent. You can go lower, but I'm telling you, it's going to start getting fluffy, and you may be fine casting until you cast in the wind. But at 3, you'd have to have a very oddball, like something go wrong with the bait, really like a buzz bait, catch the wind in windy conditions before this will backlash and it'll get max distance. It loves that number 3 setting out on the water and overall cast testing. I can go to 2, but I feel it's kind of cheating because I know this reel so well. It lives on 3. If you get nasty conditions, I have clicked it up to the 4, but that's pretty much it on that thing, just where it lives. So in the few days that I had been testing this one, it lived on the number 3 also, but actually it has a 3 on the dial. But then I found out today, I was casting it hard too on the Super Destroyer. I could not get it to fluff at that setting. I mean, maybe the first sign of a hint, but like I feel comfortable I could cast it there on the Super Destroyer, and I was getting the same distance. So and I'm going to show you, I'm tempted, because I like the way it feels better, I'm tempted to leave this, start out the season anyway, on the Super Destroyer. Because let me put it on there. It actually palms, I don't think you could say it palms better than a Steez or Zillion for that matter. So it looks very good. It looks like it belongs. It fits right on. The Steez Limited's got very, very closely on the gold colors, on the gold that this does have on it. The ergonomics on this are nice, but where your hands hit the way I hold, nothing feels too cramped, and then this part feels real good and flat and smooth. So I may go ahead so I'm out casting this like as hard as I can, no backlashes, set right there. But then that's a low setting. So then just like flipping and pitching kind of thing with that size, and I'm not even sure if that's a 3/8 or a half. But that there is just like a breeze. Like I can just no problem, like there's no issues. This reel definitely, unless something were to change on it, feels very good. A good solid reel for with the magnetic system. So if you guys remember right, there is a slight issue with this reel that wiggles a little bit. If you never know it, like you would not even really pay attention to that. But I was going to show you guys, I'm going to have that line all jacked up. But it's got that different, I wouldn't even really call it a hybrid. It's just a different way of breaking to where the spool is cut out and the magnets actually go in more than just being flush on your standard old school type Abigar's. A lot of reels have the flat, spool and the magnet set against it. This way, part of what it lets them do, it lets them get a lighter spool, and then the magnets have the ability to just kind of get in there and break better where it needs to be braked, I guess. I don't know if that's going to go back on. I think I got this spool. I'm going to have to take this out. Anyway, I got this all jacked up. Oh my God. Well, so much for that. So anyway, like that reel so far. Anxious to just get out, start using it, see how the finish feels. I think it's going to feel cold in cold weather. All these reels, honestly, in my opinion, have a cold feel. Even this one that's not supposed to. It's because of the way I wrap my hand all the way around, and I'm holding up. My fingers are touching the metal, and it gets cold. Maybe not my thumb, but just the way I palm. I don't really. The only one true, solid BFS Acura Dark Wolf Ultra is probably the warmest feeling reel that I've ever felt, because it's like no finish. It's just that raw carbony type thing. It just. If you guys know that it's fished out in the cold weather with no gloves on, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like almost any of your paint, especially metal for sure, just gets colder way faster and holds that, cold. So, we got some changes going on. If you remember, if you're following the channel, the Daiwa fanboy thing. I wouldn't say that I've truly ever been a fanboy of any one brand. I kind of flop around from here and there or whatever. But definitely, when it comes to high-end reels, spending your money, I always end up going away from Shimano. I get them and then I get rid of them. I would say that this, not because of me, because I've tried to sell this reel several times. This is probably the longest Shimano I've owned, just for the fact that it set out for a whole year. Because I didn't forget about it, but I just, I wasn't worried about selling it or not, because it is an awesome reel. Probably the best reel out of all these. But there's just something about Shimano's that, the round reels in general, I kind of gotten away from, but I still prefer the Megabass monoblocks when I was out, because I had a few of these when they were gold, or the older style Conquest in the smaller 50 series. I had the shallow spool and a regular one that I fished with, kind of regular fishing, kind of lightweight, but not, yeah, one of them, the shallow spool, I was kind of trying to do true BFS stuff, shaky head, stuff like that, and the other one I was using for regular baits. And I had a monoblock. If there's, I don't know if there's videos out, but there's different. I took tons of pictures back then. I was all proud of those reels, and they were awesome reels. All those. The Calcutta Conquest. Once Megabass did their thing to the, was it Daiwa Millionaire is what that reel was. I've never been a true fan. They've had a couple different variations of the Millionaire, the red and gold lightweight one. I had one of those too, an HLC or something maybe. I've had several round reels years ago when. Honestly, the round reels at one time were ahead of the curve from a lot of your bait casters were just as heavy, and some stuff was awkward about them compared to the round reels and durability and stuff. But then, some of the other brands, like once Daiwa and Shimano kind of figured out how to start making these a little lower profile, a little lighter, and stuff like that, then they've far surpassed, in my opinion. Like a round reel is kind of like a spinning reel, in my opinion. You don't need it. You can throw BFS in some of these smaller reels, and then you might, for the big, huge swim bait guys, they need something bigger than like what a 36 millimeter spool and a little bigger, stouter frame, 36 millimeter, maybe a little deeper, wider spool than what you can get on a lot of these little low profile bait casters nowadays. You can still do everything. You can go out and bass fish. And that's what almost all of these are, except for this reel that I'm kind of have a collection of now. With the Steez, the Zillion, and then this one. They're kind of a do-it-all, even though this is kind of a jacked up right now. But that reel with that spool, like, it can cast the lightest of stuff. You may not be true BFS fishing with it, but from light, medium heavy size baits, heavy like rod, you could basically, I feel you could put this reel on, all the way down to like shaky head type stuff, so you can get away. I think you could throw everything you're used to throwing with spinning gear with like these reels, with the Steez shallow spool, maybe not the Zillion, but the Zillion spool only halfway filled up, or with one of these aftermarket spools. So that's why I'm kind of like in that, like still trying to get reels like that, test them for you guys. And like I've got the MG Extreme 2. It was probably one of the first real little small, very small reels and lightweight spools, a little different braking system, but you can cast real light. You can cast shaky head, no problem. You can't truly BFS with that. Of course, you could the BF8, if you guys know what I'm talking about. I had a few of those in the past too. I don't plan on getting any more of those, but the MG Extreme 2, it just had, I picked it up for $300 brand new, and I'm like, I always did like that reel. I had it on a Fantasista, and then I ended up selling that stuff. I sold pretty much all my higher end stuff to my cousin Johnny for, I don't know, I forget the price, but he bought, like, he's wanting to get into fishing, and I was wanting to get out and then like refresh. So I basically made him a deal if he took everything, and that was in on it. Couple kind of custom rods I had built myself by putting handles on existing rods that the handles suck, that kind of stuff. And so it's all still floating around somewhere. Bonsai Guy, Charles has stuff. Some of them managed to break some of the stuff. My son, he can't manage to break. Not him, my son. I get him a good rod and reel set up, my oldest son, and then he manages to let somebody else in the family use it, and it always comes back broke. He's broke 2 or 3 rods. Charles, I don't think broke anything. I think Charles's wife has broke a couple of Charles's rods, but we're not gonna talk about that, Charles. If you watch this video, we're not gonna go down that road. It's not like an ugly stick video kind of thing where trying to break an ugly stick, throwing it in the trash, and the guy just grabs it and goes out fishing. Anyway, so if you guys have any questions about any of these reels and what I got going on, and if you are on the Steez HLC and you've heard rumors about that it's very finicky, it is. If you guys remember right, we done some modifications to this spool. I hate to take these apart because I got the line fluffy. I'm going to need to do it anyway. I need to really totally clean them up before I start fishing, but I'll show you on this other reel. It doesn't really matter which spool you use. You could technically do this, but I only did it on the HLC because it's a very unruly caster. Like it feels like it's under braked, and it was causing some issues. So what I did was I took this assembly apart, take that C clip off. I took all this out, and then I basically took it to where it's always going to be out, and then it has the boost thing still working. So you still get that. You can cast it real hard, the boost comes out, but then that goes in, and it never goes all the way in. Because I felt with HLC, I think it completely disengages the magnets before it needs to, and it lets the reel backlash. Because that bigger spool, with even though it's braid, and a lot of guys are complaining when they definitely put regular line. I think it's just on the, because like when you rear back with a heavier bait and you cast it, it's a casting machine, but it did not like any light casts or light baits. Like it's a nightmare. So for me, by just basically making that stuck out and then go, so all it really was, there's two springs down in there. I basically took and made it to where it's done away with this spring. So the only thing on the outside working is the boost spring, and then you have the spool just setting out here. I kind of finagled it. I honestly would have to tear it back apart and look at exactly the way I did that to see what I did, but I did that, took it out, and so far very happy with how that reel works now and I use it. Actually the smallest, lightest thing I will throw is the big blade ChatterBait. Maybe a regular, so ½ ounce is the smallest this reel sees, and it won't see. It goes on the Tequila Baccarat, and it's a big bait reel. But then what allows you to do, I could put a ½ ounce jig on and do some kind of flipping pitching and not be too unruly, lightweight cast kind of thing. Not lightweight cast, but ½ ounce or heavier baits, but not kind of flipping pitching or just lobbing them out there without it backlash. You don't have to put everything into it every time, kind of deal. So yeah, anyway, all the other ones I don't think I've, other than just a little fine tuning. We are going to try to get, once my because a couple guys, if you have comments, a couple of you have the new Steez reel, the 24, but you're telling me that there's literally no way now. I've seen the videos and I know it comes with the tool, but the cap thing is like, this is a zero adjuster too, but trust me, you can still reach there and you can turn that, which I've already done it on this one because I put a whole different cap on. And they make caps for the Steez 24 already on AliExpress for like $8. So I know with that wrench, you can take the other one off, but they're saying that there's like, you can't adjust like you can with this one. Because like these, even though they say zero adjuster, you can adjust them. You can do the fine tuning to where when you drop in a bait, this doesn't just keep unrolling all of the line out. So I've done this in several videos, showed it, talked about how to do it, but I like to take just at least like a 1/16 ounce crappie jig, or if I'm on BFS, I will even go down to a gram, like a trout magnet. I'll put it on the end of the rod and I'll let it drop from 3 to 5 foot. It just varies. Just kind of get set with how you like to set your stuff and then set them all that way. So you know that every reel you have for like every one of your BFS reels, the spool tension set the same. Now, having said all that, I like to do that just setting here. But once I'm out fishing, if I'm struggling, if I feel like I'm trying to dial this down and I'm not getting the distance before it starts fluffing a little bit, I'll come over here and I will just give it the slightest little, just to tighten it, just a hair, so I can leave it at that loosest setting. So what I'm saying is this is honestly a fine tune for this. Like a lot of guys, you just kind of, just get that to where you take away side to side play, right? Yeah, sort of. Get it kind of there, get it set, but honestly, it's another way to do a fine, just that. And honestly, the better ones are the ones that don't even have a clicker, because you can also use the clicker and then come back. Because I'll use this one, for example. Even though this thing clicks, I don't know if you guys can see it. But you see that movement before it clicks? You can fine tune on top of that even, is what I'm saying. So you get that set, and these always click, right? Actually, this one don't click. But these, you actually, I mean, the clickers sound cool and all that, but you actually, the idea of like this one is to where this one you could actually probably fine tune this side. So you would get this, you know, like I said, set it to however you like the drop you feel like is real good. Like that one, you can already tell it's a little, that's a little on the tight side maybe. Because I set and jacked with it, but you can fine tune these when they don't have, but still yet, if you get to a certain spot and you're like, man, it's so good there, but it just, I can see it, whether it's at the beginning of the cast, a lot of times it just wants to get a little fluffy. And then if I like try to turn that more, it like wants to backlash and you can't seem to find that. This one would be way easier to get it there, but a lot of these reels have the, where do I have this baby set at? Yeah, that thing I've got set all the way up at 10. Which this one's already out of whack. I must have been dialing with it. But so when you go, you know, there's clicks. So if I'm there and I'm like, man, if I go here to 13, it gets fluffy. But if I go here, okay, it backlashes. If I go here, it gets fluffy. If I go here, I can just tell it's not getting what it needs for that extra little freeze thing. So then I go there, and then I can tighten that. And it's just the slightest little touch. And then cast, it's either going to stay fluffy, it didn't do anything, or it's like, okay, it'll just kind of help smooth out the fluff. That's just kind of a fine tune you can put on one if you're in the, otherwise you just go to the next different and just cast, which most people, until you get into really, I don't know, fine tuning a reel, that none of that really matters. You just, the first thing you do, I guess I'll give you a quick little rundown. If you never used a Baitcaster and you want to learn, simply get the whatever bait you're throwing. I don't care if it's this thing or a 5-ounce swim bait. Get that thing up there, and you're going to want it. Actually, that's probably overkill. But seriously, something around a 1/2 ounce. Do it just like this. This is for beginners. If you're just starting out the Baitcaster. Don't do the 16th ounce thing. You can, but you'd almost be better off because you can always dial it back and then throw a 16th ounce on it once you've fished a little bit and you're like, okay, I'm getting this down. I'm not backlashing hardly at all. So then I want to, you know, fine tune one. But to start out, that bait you're throwing is what you're going to want to set like I did with this. You're going to want to put that 1/2 ounce bait on, or whatever it is, 3/8, 1/2 ounce, 3/4. Put it on in that rod, and you're going to want to tighten this up to where it's just same kind of thing. You want to let it hit the ground and this not turn that many times. You don't want like a real slow fall. You want it to kind of fall, but then you don't want this spool to keep going to where to backlash. And that's a pretty good setting. And then honestly, you're going to want to crank that dial to the max setting, and you're going to just do sidearm cast. Don't aim down at the ground. If you cast overhand and you aim down, it's easier to backlash. Do it like a sidearm. You're either going to let go too late, or too soon, it's going to go this way, or too late, and it's going to go this way, the opposite way if you're left-handed. And then just go from there. Cast it, 3 to 5, 10 times if it takes that long. Then start dialing down this side. You don't need to go a lot. I'd go 2 to 4 clicks though. Dial it down, keep casting, dial it down, keep casting. Be watching for that thing to want to get weird with you. If it starts doing that, just stay there and keep casting it that way, and get in the habit of keeping, don't take your thumb all the way off. Get in the habit of almost where you can feel that line coming off kind of thing when you're first starting out. You kind of want to get what you call feather the spool, and then right as the bait's getting ready to hit the ground, go ahead and stop it. Because if you really get to a level and you've got a reel totally set up, it takes a very high-end reel to not backlash when the bait hits the water. Because some baits, if they're loose and free enough, as soon as that bait slows down that much, they will backlash. Even some DCs, if you've got them set on that edge of very loose, they're not restricted at all, kind of thing. But anyway, that's the gist of when you're setting them up. Nobody's even on here. Well, no, wait. 4 of you guys are watching. Somebody comment. Can you hear me? So I got the new Steez coming. I also ordered some baits. Baits I know for a fact I don't need, but I want them. So I've got a couple new. I think I've already tried the. Oh shoot! What do you call it? I think I've already tried the style of rattle trap I found, but I found 5 colors. I found like I ordered $2.50 each, and shipping was free. Ordered like 5 different colors of a half ounce, roughly half ounce rattle traps. One's kind of got the big bellies. I think I tried them. I may even have a couple in here, but I didn't like the colors of the ones I ended up getting. But I found those. I ordered, like I said, 4 or 5 of them. I don't see any in here. And then I found there's a bait I probably need to pull back out of here. Why do I get rid of some of these baits? See this bait right in here? I think that's see that rattle trap right there? That's actually not a bad color, and that's a pretty good brand. That's the one me and Charles, a certain color I was doing real good on. But anyway, I ordered some more swim baits that I don't need. But I was going to show you guys what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen them on AliExpress, I did order another crappie type pattern one that's a little flatter. I think it may not have a rubber tail. It's got one of those like brush tails. I got one of those to try out. Do I still have... Oh, I still kept that bait. I'm still not impressed by this bait. But I need to try it more because I thought that color, it looks all right. I'm tempted about making my own fluorescent stripe on the top, chartreuse, over the black so I can see this thing better. I think I have a hard time seeing what I'm doing, how I'm working it to make this one work right. That's that crazy Shimano knockoff one with the flash boost, and it's a very, when you cast it, it folds, all that kind of stuff. I didn't get any more. I didn't see those anymore, but I still got a couple of these. I guess I kept more than I thought I did, but they're all gonna, I'm gonna try to stuff them all right back in this box. The few that I did get that are on the way are the oh shoot, there's this new one out. I guess I could try to describe it. So it's basically this, I would call it like, if it looks like you put 2 triangles together, and then this one had like 2 runners of metal rods running down, but then it had a fins that are adjustable to give you different depth. If you guys know which one I'm talking about, I'm anxious to get that one in, see what it'll do. And then I found a couple in one of my favorite colors, Toledo Gold, of the Megabass knockoff. They're like Megabass, I forget the names of them, but they have some, they're like a rattle trap. There's something Griffin or something. I can't remember the name. No, I can't remember the name of them. But AliExpress has 2 kind of variations. They got the ones with the split bodies and the fin, the front lip. But I found that color, a sinking and a floating in Toledo Gold. I ordered one of each of those in that color. The other 2 colors they had in those looked funky. And then they had the cool Mega Bass-ish colors on like 3 of those. So I got those coming, which those aren't necessarily swim baits, but I think they're 3/4 ounce size, or maybe half, but look bigger. But I think those will be good too. And then I've spotted a few other things I may get. Probably done with the swim baits though, unless I start losing swim baits. But I may go ahead and order, just so I'll have them, the replacement to a couple of my bigger ones. Because like these right here, that's it. If this color starts doing good and I lose it, I'm done. If that color were to start doing good, I don't have, I've got like smaller, and you know, maybe either one of these would get hit, but maybe not. And then there's a couple, there's a pink color I want to get, but I just already ordered way too much stuff. I already got all these baits that I hardly ever throw half of what's in there. What's this bait? Oh, I already looked at that one. So yeah, I'm up in the air. I told you guys, I think already in the video, I ordered another couple handles like this, 88 millimeter, and then another set of knobs. I'm going to try these knobs out on the 88 millimeter. If I don't like these this big on the 88, I got these other black knobs that are something like these on the Lose. They're foam, but they're roughly that dimension, maybe a little bit bigger, but they're not this big, that I'll put on the 88 millimeters and put them on something, and I'll just leave these on this one, and then I don't know what I'll do with the other set of cork, big ones that like this. But this feels real good. I'm going to try the 88 just to see, or I think you can get another size. So if I don't like the 88, I may order the next size up, which is I think 100. I think these are 110. This may be longer, but I know I keep talking about every video. My calipers are somewhere around, and I always start making the video before I actually take time to go dig them out and look for them so I can measure some of the stuff I'm always talking about. But Brew Tank still trying to talk me out on one of these, but I'm on the verge of, here's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm on the verge of, other than occasionally trying out a new reel here and there, I think I do like the Steez platform, my favorite. If I really love this new reel, unfortunately, here's the thing. Okay, wait, let me back up. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping I don't like, even though I just gave a, what, 450, 470 bucks for it, I'm hoping I don't like it as well as this platform, because I've already got 3, or the A, which is the same platform, just in aluminum. But if I really, really like it, I mean, it's not a big deal, but then I won't worry about probably keeping these, and then probably, maybe even investing in a couple more of these down the road or whatever. And the Steez A2 and none of that. I'll probably be like, okay, I'll use these this season, maybe next, the coming season I'll use them, and then start trying to weed them out or something like that. But the Zillion, I don't know. I just feel for, if the new because if I like the new Steez that much more than the Zillion or as good or whatever, but it's a lighter reel, then I could see myself to where on some of my lighter weight rods, putting the, as I get, the funds or I just talk myself into spending that much money on a reel when I know it probably won't do anything better than these. I may get more of those if they're that much better than this, because they're definitely going to be lighter. This it's not a downside, but your aluminum reels, this reel right here, but on a tequila back rack, it's perfect. I don't think I would trade off for a lighter weight reel. It's already small, compact. It's not that heavy, but it is heavier than these magnesium ones. This reel is also very light. This is a very good, well, now it's jacked, but a very good lightweight, palmable at Lose. I do like it so far. If they would come out with one exactly like this with these handles, and say, because the other one, like for $350, that's, I don't see myself buying any more of these. If this was even at $300, like the purple one at, what's it, $399, maybe get it on sale. The $350 for the, was that a custom, whatever the silver one is, I don't see myself spending that kind of money anymore. I just wanted to get one of these and try it out, and I'll use it because it's an awesome reel. But I would, like if I didn't have a channel, I had it to do back over, I would probably just invest the money instead of buying this and get another Steez of some sort, in my opinion. It's probably just as capable, but just so like all my spools will interchange. I like that. The new Steez, you lose that. It's 32 millimeter compared to these 34. That's the only downside so far I've seen to the brand new one. And they claim it looks better in person. It doesn't look bad, but they keep getting more plain looking. This is an awesome looking reel, but the way this one, no wait, not that one. Yeah, this one. The 7-to-1, I believe it came with this black handle and then just the black knobs and the black everything. I mean, it looks cool in its own way, but the Daiwas have kind of just been known to have that, well, kind of like this. That's your typical, they came with a different but they typically, and I think that these are Zillion painted drag stars, but they typically come with a cool looking, you know, aluminum, some sort of metallic looking or whatever drag star, gold T-wing, some other stuff. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of this color necessarily. This is a dark enough grayish blue though, especially when it's on a Megabass Destroyer rod. It looks fine. So they've even gotten darker, and like even like this, there's it's not a lot, but those little gold highlights and hits, I like that. I think that looks good. It's almost too dark a gold. I'm honestly hoping if I get out and fish much, that gold, if it were to just fade a touch, because that almost looks like orange. If it were to fade just a touch, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. This gold is definitely a little bit different color. It's like it's lighter and then it gets darker as it kind of comes out here. But it's overall a good match. It's a very good looking reel. Like just looking at them, like I think it actually the finish is too shiny. Let me try to show you. That's the I guess that it looks awesome when you got it shined up. Problem is the minute you put it in your hand, it's not shined up anymore. So hang on a second. That's one thing I'll give the. See that finish. Trying to see if I can't tell if I've got some, because I don't have any scuffs. If it's got anything on it, it's from me, my finger. Just like what that. Can't really tell. Hang on. Let me give it a spit shine. But we'll find out how that. No, that's it polishes right up. You know, shine, but the minute. Like, look, it's just you grab it and it's like, okay, now it's got fingerprints, it's got marks, it's one of those kind of finishes. These, it's got just enough of that glitter, right? Like a bass boat. It's got just enough stuff to throw it off that, and so far it's holding up good. It doesn't matter how you hold it or whatever. Then when you look at it again, it just looks, it looks good. I like that. Just looking at them though, like in a showroom kind of thing, this has a better look to it. The Zillion is looking rough. Look at all that black showing. There is a ding. I dinged it on something right there, and I think there might be other, but it doesn't really matter. These things, when that paint, just basically you can sand it off with your thumb. That's not a good finish. Awesome reel, horrible paint. Looks good. Paint looks good when you're first looking at it. It's in it. And it still looks fine. But yeah, you know, it's a reel I use. It doesn't have to be a showroom condition. But yeah, that's kind of got me a little off-putting on, but they're only like 220 bucks. I have no idea how these guys are destroying these Steez finishes like they do. You see some of them, and I guess maybe it's just around saltwater is the only thing I can think of. I've seen a lot of them just scraped to heck, like on a probably aluminum boat without padding, or I don't know how, or like bubbly paint and all that, because everything I've dealt with on the Steezes or any of the higher end Daiwas, the regular ones, once you get into, a lot of times when they do like these limiteds are different, but like the Type R's and some of those finishes aren't that great. But most of the newer stuff, especially on the newer Steezes, seems like a good tough finish. All right, guys, I guess that's it. I don't know if I had any other things I wanted to talk about. I'm still trying to work on some of my other, I don't really, like I mentioned, I don't need anything. I've got several different things from AliExpress, a couple of handles, the baits. I am going to make a, oh, I know what I was going to talk about. I know. Okay, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Because another thing I was watching, I've been watching a couple, some videos here and there, my old videos, and then some other fishing videos, and then I was watching a reel test. That dude is a Shimano fanatic. He is definitely anti Daiwa. Now he'll tell you, just like I feel I do, I'll give you the goods and the bads and all of it, and I'll tell you that I just prefer, you know, Daiwa over Shimano. I still can't explain why, but when you're out here, just like I was out here doing this cast testing and different stuff, some reels, once you I guess, have a knack for setting them up, are still easier to set up than others. Some reels are less finicky than others. Some reels will outcast distance than others, but they're harder to get there and they're more finicky once they're there. So I rewatched one of my old Zillion videos, like I was talking about, and I mentioned it right off the bat in the video because I'd been fishing that reel for a little bit. I'm like, number 3 is where this thing lives, and it's just that set it and forget it. Everything works. You cast super hard. That boost pops out. Doesn't backlash near as bad. Every reel will backlash. Every DC, every whatever will at certain times. But it's just that Daiwa, in my opinion, especially with the SV when they're really trying it thing, has an easier, and that's why they tried to do it with the zero adjuster, which they should just not go. They shouldn't have went. They should have just said, hey, it's coming from the factory set. Don't be a moron if you don't know how to set stuff, and leave it alone. And once you get to that level, that's have that on a thing to where that's advanced level number 5. Don't touch it until you get to that, boss level. But Shimano's are, because I was thinking about that, why a lot of guys just don't like Shimano's. And I think it's not necessarily somebody that doesn't know how to use a baitcaster that well, or, just a Shimano hater. I think they're like me. The guys that like that top performance will maybe go towards the Shimano. They like tinkering, they like fine tuning, and they constantly are back and forth. The guys that just want to go out and fish. I like jacking around, but once I'm out on the water fishing, I just like to fish. I want to be able to grab this bait, throw it on my rod and reel, cast it. I want to be able to grab this bait. Whoa, look out, Fireball. I'm going to be able to grab this bait, throw it. I want to be able to grab a buzz bait. I want to be able to grab 1.5 square bill, throw it on, whatever. I mean, maybe not that drastic, but almost that drastic. I only got one rod and reel at that time, or I just want to put a shaky head on. I want to put something, and I'm kind of junk fishing, and I'm trying different stuff. That's why I use snap. I've got that on. I'm going to switch to a different thing. I'm going to try something different jig, different spinner bait, different rattle trap, whatever. And I don't mess with the reel. I don't mess with anything. I just grab the different bait, slap it on that snap. I'm casting and I'm going. Shimano's, you can set them to where you'll have that ability, but I feel then that's when you're losing your cast distance. I talked about it with the Corrado DC. That one setting, I could set it there, and I felt comfortable throwing everything with it. But every cast, I'd make a cast, and I could feel the bait slowing down. It's not getting quite like it probably could get. And I go in there and go click. But then, okay, that's fine. And then you change a bait or something, and it's like, oh, whoa, that's, then it starts wanting to backlash. It gets fluffing. I'm like, yeah. And that's almost with a lot of different other things. Daiwa is the best at, and this is just my opinion. And me out doing cast testing, until they came out with the boost spools, Shimano were definitely distance casters, in my opinion. You had to fine tune a Daiwa to get it to cast as far as a Shimano. For the average, just based on that same skill level kind of thing. Then when they came out the boost, I think it's all more or less even, but I still think the Daiwas are that more versatile range of one setting kind of thing. Set it and forget it. I think the boost with the SV stuff, they're top. I think that the cheaper braking systems that utilize the both are still slightly ahead of Shimano, my opinion. Shimano's typically all just use the SVS Infinity stuff, right? They're a centrifugal mechanical system that they've spread out, and it's basically dragging. Now, they've fine-tuned it, and they've taken it to different levels, but for me, in the way I fish, I just feel like that is one, you kind of tune it for a bait more. It's like, can get to that level, and I like some of the older, Luz, Abu Garcia, even Bass Pro, like all these generic type reels from then on down. If they've got it where you take off the side plate and you have not only magnets, you also have on the rotor there's those little, the pins or the whatever that pop out, and a lot of times you can set those 2, 4, 6 or whatever. You can set the pins, and then you got the ability to move the magnets further in and out, and you've got the ability to mess with that. You're basically giving yourself. It's got so tunable, but if you tune that for like the overall distance but ease of casting, I just think that one, and most reels I've ever had, I would set and jack with them and get them tuned, and then I kind of had that feeling like I do with these Daiwa reels with the whether it be the SV or with the SV boost. It's just once you get a good setting on that reel, it works very good. The MG Extreme 2 has a braking system. It's different but similar to the SVS Infinity. It's got different arms that fly off with the little round things. I guess I could grab that and show you too. But no, I'm not going to. But I think it's a little more finicky, just like what the Shimano's are. I think it's an awesome reel once you get it set, but I think that you could actually go a little cheaper reel to have a overall. But the thing about that little dude, usually what I would always using it for, well, now will be roughly right around the same size kind of baits. But I remember when I had it and it was my main reel, it was one of those, just like almost every other reel that I've had until something like this. I would get it set and I'd be casting no problem, and then you just turn and make this cast, and you'd have those random phantom backlashes. And I feel that's the way I would get with the Shimano when I'm setting it kind of for that, trying to find that sweet spot to be as free as it'll go, but like to just, switch around. And that's kind of the way the MG Extreme 2, or honestly any of those that are just centrifugal, mechanical braking only. I think once you add the magnet part to it and then kind of fine tune from there, I just think it makes it better. But anyway, same thing. I like the Shimano. I think they still have the best for BFS as of right now. The way that they've got a dynamic brakes, the brakes that move magnetic inside, and then so you can have super light spools, that kind of stuff. It's hard to beat that. But I think that there's several other reels, especially the ones that copied the Shimano's, that are like right there with them. But yeah, the new Aldebaran definitely probably can't be beat. I would have guessed the Calcutta Conquest. It's hard to beat this reel right here with this spool. That reel is hard to beat. The older Aldebaran actually beats it by just a hair because of it's got a different line guide. Is about the only factor. It's a little different. So the reels where they're at nowadays, though, they're all very close. But like when you get out there doing cast testing and all that, I think the reason for me these Steezes have that, and well, any Daiwa that you can put an SV boost spool in that's got the T-wing, you're talking about, as of right now, nothing smaller than a 34 millimeter as boost capable, because I don't think the new CT Limited, none of the CTs were, I don't know if they make a boost. The company that makes this should make one. High 10, if they don't already, they should make one for those. Because the new Steez, I'm sure they'll have one out before long. It's 32 millimeter. I want to say the CT is 30 millimeter, right? And then the Airs and those are like 20. They're 27, 8, 20. They're like smaller, 28 millimeter maybe. Crazy, too small. But those work good. Like little bitty baits. I actually like the Alpha's Airstream Custom, not the Airstream Custom, right? Not the Silver Creek. The green older style Alphas, man. That's probably my favorite Daiwa baitcat or BFS baitcaster. The new one, Silver Creek, it's probably right there. I think it may look a touch better, but I think actually I preferred the Alphas, the older school one, a little bit better. They all will cast like the smallest little 1 gram trout magnet, fing, fing, but then when you try to get distance, it's like, you try to throw like a 16th ounce crappie jig, I can get very cheap BFS reels that will outcast those reels on some of those first batches of the Alphas, BFS, the whatever, and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Got a lot more coming on the channel. Talking about rods, reels. Here lately, I've been talking a lot about reels and handles and knobs and BFS baits that look like this. Oh, wait, no, those are swim baits. Those aren't BFS baits. So, kind of like we left off when we were last out fishing, we're at the extremes. You may see us grab a BFS rod and reel, throw something, then you may see us grab my Tila back rack. Or Charles, I think he even bought a rod or two that were capable of throwing a little heavier stuff. Charles been bicycling. He's bought I don't know how many. Charles is like me on everything too. He's probably, he can only ride one mountain bike type trail bike at a time, but I think he's already got maybe a couple. Right? Got to have one for summer in shorts, and then one for winter in Carhartts or whatever. Anything else? Nope. I think that's all I want to talk about. Nope. We got to make this an hour. I know, everybody's like, shut up, let me get out of here. I need to eat dinner. Nope, not going to do it. So I'm just going to show you. I've got high hopes for this bait right here. I already put a gold blade on it. You guys know me, black and blue with gold blade. So I'm going to try to configure. You guys comment below. Somebody will be commenting on what you think of this. So there's that new Gremlin from Z-Man that came out, I guess, last year. It's new to me. First time I ever saw it was just a few days ago when I went into Bass Pro Shops. I'm like, oh, those are new. I'm going to try them. So I think this bait on this new color that I just picked up from, so black and blue, a little more blue. I may actually trim some of those blues off or just run a Sharpie across it and blacken it up just a touch more on the top. The bottom, because I almost wanted to just have a, I don't know. I'm always trying to imitate a crawdad, but for some reason they just love black and blue, period. That's got just a little bit of brown. But those definitely should work on whether it be a black and blue or this color or even a, you know, black, basically. But I think that I'm going to want to rig this thing up to where I'm going to want to cut off these twirly tails, is my opinion. So you guys tell me what you think. There's a 3/8, half ounce, all the same length on the shaft. So if I put that up and I don't cut this off, because I could also just cut this down until it fits on to where it brings this up. But I think depending on the trailer you use, a lot of what has to do with the effect of how bait works is how far you let it hang back or up, right? You don't want a ChatterBait trailer dragging behind too much. Technically, what you want is something just right a little bit longer out the back, but there's times that I think, so if I put it to there, I think if I rig it up to where it's just, I like to where I have like small crawl type appendages, or like the Baby Rage Menace, where they start is right where the skirting ends and then no more. So in this thing you got these appendages and these and then this crazy long thing. So I think if I cut off, now you could also cut these off if you wanted. The last tech you would have no problem with leaving these on. So I may try one like that too. May try to cut these off, leave just this part back here, and then cut this off. But I think I definitely am going to want to cut this off. Now if I don't know, maybe there's a trick to one in colder the water or whatever. So I think you got different options with this bait, in other words. So I'm going to get it out. I'm anxious to get it out, try it out. Got 3 or 4 different colors. And just see if I can make myself, well, how I make myself like a bait is I throw it, and if it catches fish, I like it and I get more. So try to utilize those into getting hit, as well as what the Baby Rage Menace and a Rage Menace do on the back of the ChatterBait, or just the regular old Zinkers, slightly shortened on the back when they want it kind of like fast and erratic, and it's just a, you know, ChatterBait's like toot, 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 jumping around. There's nothing beats the old, just a chunk of Zinkers on the back. Still can't figure out. I went out one day and tried it. You run a chatterbait, basically. Here's the way, my favorite way to throw them. Like with that, the regular big blade, just with the regular Rage Menace on the back. See how I talked about just like right where the things start. That is a bait that just catches them. But then you could run also the zinkers on this. Just have the zinkers coming to about that far back, just the worm, and it would let it jump even more. But for whatever reason, when you take a chatterbait, now I can take one of the little flashback minnows, a little bitty 16th ounce one, and I've caught fish just running just the head and the blade with not even a skirt. But I've yet, when you're throwing a chatterbait, the last time I went out and tried it, I think I gave it a half hour, 45 minutes or something. But I was throwing like a regular chatterbait rigged up, and then one with just like out of the package, the bait with the skirt, no trailer. They won't hit it. It's the weirdest thing compared to like what a spinnerbait. Like I feel I can take any spinnerbait out of the package, and it's probably going to get hit without the need to put anything on the back of it. But I guess I've never really tried with a jig. Anytime I'm throwing a jig, I usually just put some kind of craw or something on the back. But there's something about that chatterbait, man. You need something back there. A spinnerbait I can just go and throw. And for years I didn't even put anything. I would use the MEPS or whatever, had the little twin tail thing. I'd either put that on with a stinger hook kind of thing, trailer hook, or I just would run the hook on the back, and just maybe variation. But I caught a lot of fish on just running a spinnerbait. Not the same on a chatterbait. I don't know for sure exactly why. You're like, oh, my bait's broke. I'll just keep throwing. I'll probably catch another one. No, I've gone long times just trying it because I found out early on. I was like, yeah, you got to have something on these. They just don't get hit. But I've tried it since then. You're like, was that just me? Was that just a fluke? The first year or so using the chatterbaits, was that just like a fluke? Let me try it again. Nope, it works. It doesn't work. I mean, they just won't hit a chatterbait bear. But then I found out with the little flashbacks, with the little silver or gold heads, you can just throw them, the little dinky things, and that thing will, you get it to chatter a little bit and then like kill it and then start it and it'll woo, 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 it jumps. Man, especially little bass, they just eat that thing up. Like year-round little bluegill, perch, crappie, stuff like that, they will hit that thing. All right, so I'm out of here now for sure. Thanks for watching, guys. Get out, go bass and bonsai. Whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. Call Crazy Lou's lady. Have her rig you up with the handle assembly for your whatever reel you want to put it on. We gone.